Role of an educational leader in family daycare is about?
I think that's one of the great things about family daycare is its diversity. So the role of the educational leader looks like lots of different things across services, and it's impacted by the size of the service, the geography, the skill level of educators themselves, because often we see more and more where educators are higher qualified than coordinators or more current knowledge of working directly with children and planning for their learning. So they're actually able to inform the overall development for the coordination unit and other educators. So I suppose it's hard to say that there's any one way, but there's lots of ways, and that gives an opportunity for lots of creativity to think about how we support educators in their developing knowledge and how the coordination unit approaches supporting educators and knowing educators and understanding where they're at. What do you think, Kym?
Yeah, about understanding where they're at, understanding the skills that they've already got, and for some educators more skills than maybe a coordinator has, or their qualification is greater than a coordinator might have, or an educational leader. So the educational leader's role in facilitating the conversations and asking the questions and allowing the educators to work on things together, and as colleagues.
Yeah, it's such an important thing, isn't it, when educators work on their own, so they don't have that opportunity for those incidental conversations with their colleagues about an area that they might be feeling challenged on, or a new idea they've just thought of. So the work of that educational leader to be really intentful and consider how do they provide those opportunities to extend educators' learning and thinking, or to challenge how they're working to help them better understand how they make decisions for children's learning. Because it's quite an isolating role when you work on your own all day and you don't have someone coming into your space every day. So those opportunities that coordinators might provide, like play sessions or professional conversations or buddying systems to assist educators to connect with other educators to further their conversations and their thinking.
And to expand on the learning that's happening for children, to think about what are different ways that we can set up environments, opportunities for us to model behaviour as well, and to model different types of environments for children.
And that's important as well, isn't it? That the role of that coordinator to work with the educator and to be seen as, from an educator's point of view, that the coordinator's there to support them in building their understanding rather than there to critique what's working or not working. So how that coordinator or the educational leader approaches the conversation with the educator about their practice is quite vital, but it's a great way to support the educator and for the educator to have someone to engage with around that thinking about what they think they do really well or what they could develop further on.
Absolutely, a collegial type of relationship rather than someone that's seen as having more skills than another, rather coming into the space and engaging in those conversations and providing resources to support the educator, and maybe even doing that unpacking around the reflection that they have about the educator and encouraging the educator to think about what is it that I do well and what are the areas that I might need some development on, and working on those, planning that together.
Why the role of the educational leader is, I believe, successful here. There are a couple of things. It's because the role is full-time, and while I know that that's probably not possible for every service, I think that it has to be a substantial length of time given to this role. I don't think it can be done in a very short space because that becomes a bit of a deficit model, really. I think it must be extremely difficult to do the role if you also are one of the staff who are responsible for a group of children, because the benefit of having a person who is supernumerary, so their role is simply not engaged with the everyday work in the rooms with children, is that person can have a view of all rooms, all children, all staff, and can remove themselves somewhat. I think for us this way works really well, that person can be truly independent from the deliberations around what happens in one particular room, can take cross-fertilize almost ideas across the service, but one of the main things is can have consistency. And I believe that one of the main features of this role is to make sure that philosophy is consistently applied across the service. And you can do that by working with someone from a nursery and then going to someone in a preschool, and how you would have your philosophy around respect for children, or one of your values might be authenticity. What that looks like in a nursery and what that looks like in a preschool room will be different, but it's the same value. And by having that person slightly removed and able to look at it in both settings, I think that's important.
There are particular skills and qualities that make educational leaders exceptional. One of those qualities is having an interest in developing others. Educational leaders need to be interested in helping and supporting and guiding their educators to become the best educators that they can be. In order to do this effectively, they need to have a really thorough understanding of the learning frameworks in which they operate, My Time, Our Place for school age care, and they also need to have a deep understanding of pedagogy, program and practice in both a leisure-based and recreational environment. Essentially too, educational leaders need to be able to work together collaboratively with team members and share leadership in such a way that they're empowering other members of the team to feel like and participate in the program as emergent leaders themselves. There are many qualities that contribute to effective educational leadership, and educational leaders must have embedded in their thinking ongoing learning and reflective practice. They need to be really committed to their own performance and improving their own performance and developing further knowledge and experience.